It's Ash from Super Videos back for another live stream Q&A video. This is going to be Q&A number 73. This is going to be for Season 8, Episode 10 of The Walking Dead called The Lost and the Plunderers. So I'm actually starting this live stream a little bit earlier than I usually do, and there's a reason for it. I haven't actually posted my review for the last episode, for episode 10, for those of you that might not have noticed. So I will be doing the review for the episode at the beginning of this live stream, and then jumping into the questions after. The review is not going to take that long. I'll do it very quickly, but I'll do that first and then jump into the questions. And also I will be posting this review that I'm going to do right now separate as well as a standalone thing, so that people who might not be on the live stream and are looking for it can actually find it. So that being said, while people are actually joining and everything, I will be starting the review for the episode. So overall, episode 10, I really enjoyed it. I think it was one of the better episodes, or one of the best episodes even, that we've seen in a long time. And it definitely had some very interesting and exciting, even shocking moments that I think were very cool to see. So starting off, one thing that I do want to mention that I don't know why they did, but in my opinion it didn't work, and it was the title cards. So having the names of the characters at the beginning every time the episode kind of started up again. We had one for Rick, one for Negan, one for Michonne, one for Jadis. I don't think that it worked. I know what they were going for. It was like we were looking at that character's part of the story, or their storyline, or what they're basically witnessing or seeing, or how that event is going to change them. So basically, that event that we saw in that section of the episode was the part that impacted that character whose name was shown the most. But in my opinion, it just didn't work. I don't know why, but I don't feel like it really worked. It's not the type of thing that Walking Dead does, and I don't think that it really worked. But that might just have been me. But going from there, getting to some of the positives of the episode, the Negan versus Simon scene, I absolutely loved that. I think that both the acting on both Stephen Ogg as Simon and Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan's part, and also the whole kind of tension that was building between those characters, was definitely exciting. I definitely found myself getting more tense with everything that was going on, and with every kind of back and forth between Negan and Simon. So that whole sequence where we had Negan versus Simon, the back and forth and the kind of tension that was building up, I absolutely loved that. The part that's kind of related is Simon going to the junkyard, the scavengers, and killing them all. Now, I absolutely loved that part as well. I did predict it. For those of you that might have seen my predictions, you know that I did anticipate or predict that this might happen, but just seeing it on screen was very interesting, very cool to see. And I love Stephen Ogg as Simon. There's just something about his performance, something about the way he brings this character forward that is very interesting and very exciting to see. Then the part where Rick and Michonne actually go to the junkyard, that part was cool, but at the same time I feel like they should have just kind of had the storyline play out. They could have just made it all play out at once, not go back and forth, not play with the time. So I feel like I understand why they did that, so that there will be some sort of mystery, but at the same time, given that they did kind of show it in the teasers, and with that we kind of predicted what's going to happen, they didn't really need to do that. So that was a little iffy in my part, but the whole kind of exchange between Michonne and, Rick and Jadis was definitely cool to see, and just seeing how that turn of events changed Jadis was definitely exciting, and kind of hearing a bit about her backstory. But at the same time, she wasn't an interesting character to begin with, so you could go both ways with that. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jadis, what she does, and whether she's going to come back. She's still alive, and I'm sure that she's going to play a major part, or a part at least, in the war coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's about. For those of you that might have just joined, I am doing the review for the episode since I haven't done that yet, and then I'm going to jump into the Q&A. So for those of you that might be wondering why I'm just talking, that's what it is. So then after that, there is one thing that I do want to mention, going back to them playing with time a little bit. If you notice, we saw the blue paint on Simon's boots. And we did see Rick kind of going there and seeing the blue paint on the ground. But that part with Rick happened first. So that's also, in my opinion, a way for them to kind of play with time in a way that adds mystery. So that we're like wondering what happened, looking at the blue paint. They even kind of concentrated on it a little bit. And then going back to it later on once they're basically revealing what actually happened. So that was cool, but at the same time, I feel like they didn't need to do it because they did more or less reveal what's going to happen there. At least gave us enough for us to be able to predict everything. Then the part with Jadis, after her people were killed by Simon, we had Jadis basically putting all of her people in the shredder, in the human shredder. That was disgusting. That was one of the most disgusting, brutal things we've seen in a while. I would say the closest thing would be the Glennon ape death, but we haven't seen something this brutal and gross since then. But I liked it, even though it was brutal, disgusting. It was funny to see, and not funny, but it was cool to see. I don't want to sound like a psychopath or anything. It was cool to see. Then going to that last couple scenes with Negan and Simon, or not Simon, Negan and Rick. I absolutely loved that. The whole exchange, the whole back and forth. I absolutely loved it. I think that at that time, in that moment, we saw a heart-to-heart conversation between Rick and Negan. More from Negan than Rick, because Rick just kept saying, I want to kill you, I'm going to kill you. But from Negan's end, he kind of put aside all of the bullshit. He put aside all of the kind of, I'm better than you, I'm the leader, you're obedient to me and everything. He put that all aside and just talked to Rick in a way that, they are equal, in an equal kind of way, if you know what I mean. But I absolutely loved that. Now, there is a part from that sequence that I don't really understand. One thing is why Simon actually cared about Carl, because he was going to kill Carl, if you remember. He was going to kill Carl in the finale of season 7, if you remember. So I don't understand how all of a sudden Negan has this kind of bond with Carl and how he was like heartbroken. I understand that a little bit because they did have that connection, but at the same time, Negan was going to kill Carl. So what happened? They should have at least shown us how he changed his mind about Carl and, what led to him saying he's going to be the kid that I want alive. He's going to be someone that I'm going to protect, even in the war. So that's the only kind of main negative from this episode. But going back to that whole conversation between Rick and Negan, Rick's decision to want to kill... So, sorry, I'm going to backtrack. Rick's decision to want to kill Negan and to kind of be persistent about it is something that gets me very interested but confused, because we know what's coming based on the comics if they don't remix the story. So how are they going to make everything work out if Rick keeps saying, I want to kill you, I want to kill you? So that's a little bit of me kind of being very interested how they're going to pull it off. When they're doing this, when they're putting out all of these kind of scenes with Rick saying, I'm going to kill you. But that's not really a negative. That's kind of more of me being very interested in what they're going to do. And then the last thing that I do want to mention is Enid and Aaron at Oceanside. So we do see that they let him go, obviously. But Aaron is gonna stay. I don't know what he's gonna do and how he's gonna do it, but he's gonna try to get Oceanside on board still, which I don't think is a good idea. Just leave, because you've attempted over and over and you've caused some people to die. Netanya was the latest one because of this kind of attempt to try to get him on board. So just stop that. But at the same time, that whole kind of resolution to that scene was underwhelming. It was weak because they just let him go. They just agreed that they won't kill him. I felt like there should have been more tension there. It was like, okay, we'll just leave, talk to each other, and let you know what we're going to do. They came back and everything was okay. A little bit underwhelming for me. So that's basically it. That's everything that I wanted to cover for the review of the episode. Now I'm going to jump right back into the Q&As. Now, again, I will be posting this review section as a standalone video. So, later on, if you want to just check out the review again, or if someone wants to check it out, it'll be separate as well as on the Q&A as well. And depending on whether you guys like this format or not, I might just do this. I might do the review and then the Q&A like this. But, it just depends. I might just do it earlier, and sometimes I might not have time to get to it, so I might do it this way. But that being said, let's go back to the questions and answer you guys' questions. So, Wiz07Wiz says, hey, how are you? Giuseppe De Rosa says, yo. Giuseppe De Rosa, I feel like they could have done something better with the garbage group. Yes, I 100% agree with you. That being said, I loved the resolution. I loved how they used them at the end when they were going to kind of recycle them. No pun intended. But when they were going to recycle that group or throw them away, I liked the way that they made their death mean something. Not only for Jadis, but also for Simon's story coming up. I will do a standalone video on Negan's or Simon's secret and whether Negan's going to find out later on, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I do agree with you that they could have utilized them better. Giuseppe De Rosa, did you hear about Scott Gimple saying he's going to be more Walking Dead spinoffs? Oh, there's going to be more Walking Dead spinoffs. Well, we can't really trust him, but at the same time, he's probably saying or telling the truth. But I'm not that excited about spinoffs because I feel like they've been struggling with the spinoff they already have, Fear. It looks like it's going to be a good season 4, but at the same time, they've been struggling. So I feel like they should kind of concentrate on that first, try to get that better before they create more spinoffs. More spinoffs doesn't mean that it'll be better, that we're going to love the franchise or we're going to love The Walking Dead, because there's more and more spinoffs. So just because there's more spinoffs, that doesn't mean that it's going to be good. But at the same time, if it's going to happen, yeah, let it happen. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they do with the spinoffs and how they make each spinoff be different than the other and how they make it unique. They tried to do it with Fear. They failed, basically, because now they have to do something where they have to sync up the stories. They have to bring Morgan from Walking Dead to Fear the Walking Dead to kind of give it more life. Now, we are speculating at this point that they are syncing up the story, but Morgan going to Fear, that's 100%. So, yeah, I feel like it's 50-50 how that could go. That could be good. It could be a good spinoff. It could not. So more spinoffs doesn't necessarily mean better. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A. Hey, do you think Negan will kill Simon once he finds out what he did? I think Simon will die in Season 8's finale. I definitely do think that Simon is going to die by the finale, but I don't think Negan is going to kill him. Or I hope that Negan doesn't kill him, because I feel like with the story coming up, specifically with Negan, and based on what we know, based on the comics, the best kind of resolution or reward for fans would be for a survivor to kill Simon. So it's better for his death to be delayed, or not delayed, but changed so that it's a survivor killing him. So I hope that they don't have Negan killing him. Giuseppe De Rosa, do you think Regina will die? We haven't seen her, right? We just saw her in the first episode and that was it. So yeah, they could kill her. We haven't really seen her that much. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A. Yeah, to be honest, Rick's threat to Negan is getting tiresome. Either kill him or let him live. Make up your mind, Rick. Yes, I agree 100%. At this point, if Rick doesn't kill Negan, he's gonna look like a sissy. I'm just saying. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A. To be honest, this half is better than the first half of the season. How's your day going? Yeah, this half so far is better. Definitely. The last episode, episode 10, definitely one of the best episodes we've seen in a long time. And my day is going great. Thank you. How's your day going? Giuseppe De Rosa, what would you be down for a Daryl spinoff after the show? Daryl spinoff after the show? I'm indifferent about it. If they give it to us, cool. It's going to be interesting, but... Sorry, I might have just hit the mic. If they give it to us, then it's cool, I guess. It's going to be interesting, but it's not something that I absolutely need. Johnny Gat, what did Negan mean when he said this last episode? I might have just saved you all. He was saying that he could have saved them all. That he meant that if they didn't come up with these plans to go against Negan, to want to kind of do their own thing, to want to not be obedient to Negan, he could have saved them. So if they just kneeled down to him once Abe and Glenn died, then Spencer might not have died, Olivia might not have died, Sasha might not have died, and Carl might not have died, and Carl being the biggest one. So he just meant that he could have saved all of these people if they just were obedient to him. And again, that's a twisted way of thinking about things, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but that's what he's referring to. That's what he means. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A. I think it's a bad idea to make more spin-off shows because they're having trouble with The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead as a whole. Having more spin-off shows will just make people even more burnt out. Absolutely agree with you. That's basically a summary of the rant that I just had a couple minutes ago. Giuseppe De Rosa. I want to see Simon die in a fighting scene. Yes, I do as well. And I hope that he doesn't go with like a simple gunshot or something like that. I hope that it's more interesting. I hope there's more to it than that. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A. To be honest, they need to make this show great again, get the ratings back before making any more spin-off shows. Yes, absolutely agree. Giuseppe De Rosa. Do you think at the final battle at All Out War, Rick is losing the battle and Jadis comes in a helicopter and starts shooting at the Saviors? That would be lit. It could be cool, but I hope that this war doesn't get resolved with Jadis' help, because it's underwhelming. Yeah, she's a character that's there. She could come back. She could potentially do that, but at the same time, how capable of all of our survivors that we already love and know, that we follow, if they need someone like Jadis to come save them. So if you think about it that way, then not doing that is probably the better idea. But yeah, it could be something they can do. It's shocking, it's interesting, it's different. It's a remixed version or a remix of the story. They could do that. But I don't like the idea, to be honest, because I don't want the war to end with Jadis helping them, because it just makes the whole kind of fight seem somewhat, not even unnecessary, but underwhelming. There's no other way for me to say it. It's just underwhelming. Giuseppe De Rosa, I think the reason people don't like this season that much because we're not focusing on the main characters as much. No, that's not the reason for me. It might be for others, but the main reason for me, while I'm not that much of a fan of this half season or first half season, is because the story is just being stretched out. They don't need to do that. They could have kind of made everything happen, everything that happened in the first half, everything that happened in the first 8 episodes, they could have had it happen in 4 episodes. Which obviously means that they would have had to add story, they would have had to kind of expand the story a little bit, but at the same time, stretching the story when it doesn't need to be stretched out just makes the episode seem, or not the episode, the arc seem like it's being stretched out, make it seem like, come on already, get it done, and make people burned out. So that's the reason for me. The reason why others may be burned out is because of what you just referred to, but for me, it's not that. It's something entirely different. And just to give you an example, episode, let's see, which episode was it? The episode that we just saw, episode 10, or maybe going to the first half. Let's give you an example of a first half episode. The episode where they went to the outpost. The episode where we had Morales show up at the end. That episode was not necessarily focused on... one sec, guys, one sec. Alright, sorry about that, guys. So that episode was not necessarily focused on Rick. There were a lot of characters, a lot of kind of different focuses in that episode, but that was one of my favorite episodes of the first half. Even the first episode, 801, again, not necessarily focused on one person, but another good episode. So, yeah, that wasn't the reason for me. I might have to wrap this up a little bit or a little bit earlier. Today, I might wait a little bit more, but I do have something to get to right now, so I might have to end this a little bit earlier. But I'll try to kind of get through these questions right now that I have. Let me see where I was. I answered that. There we go. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A. Do you think Rick leaving Jadis to die will come back to haunt him, and Jadis will come back and get revenge? That's another way they could go with it, but at the same time, what's Jadis gonna do? You know, it's just one person. Yeah, she might have the upper hand on Rick if it's just Rick, but other than that, what can she do? So it could happen, but it's not unrealistic necessarily, but there's less chance of it happening. Giuseppe De Rosa, I felt like they shouldn't have extended All Out War. They should have ended it at the mid-season premiere. Yeah, again, if they just wanted to do exactly what was in the comics and not add anything and not really expand anything without making it feel stretched out, yeah, it could have been a half season. And I know before that, I was a big fan of them having All Out War be an entire season. But I had something entirely different in mind. Because in my mind, what I wanted them to do with All Out War was to kind of showcase the preparation for war. Like going from the season 7 finale to actually attacking. I wanted to see all of that planning. I wanted to see them kind of get together in a group and explore ways that they could, you know, get back at the Saviors. Way they could do it in an efficient way, in a way that's safe and things like that. In my opinion, that would have taken like one episode or 2 episodes if they didn't want to stretch it out that much. And I don't think they should stretch it out that much. So having it maybe just 1 episode and then another episode with them actually going to the sanctuary, attacking, just much like what we saw in the premiere. And then an episode after that kind of regrouping and finding out what they need to do, which outpost they need to hit. All of that was kind of put together and, you know, grouped together in 1 or 2 episodes, which in my opinion was not the best way of doing it. So if they followed that kind of structure and maybe added a little bit more story, expanded it a little bit, they could have had an entire season of All Out War that doesn't feel this stretched out. Johnny Gat, how will or what will Negan's reaction be when he finds out Simon killed all those scavengers? He's gonna scream. He might curse. He's probably not gonna curse on the show, but he's gonna make a lot of very angry comments towards Simon. He might even, you know, hit him with Lucille once or something like that, and he might kill him right away or right then and there to make an example of him, for other saviors to see this is what happens when you go against me. So that's what I think is going to happen. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of Simon getting killed by Negan, like I said before. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A, the reason people are getting burned out on the show is simply because it's been on for so long. That's a part of it, but then again, that's where reinventing things and changing things and making things feel different after a few seasons, that's what that is, right? If they do a good job on that, then no matter how long it is, it still wouldn't feel as kind of repetitive or as underwhelming as it's kind of getting. Wiz0W says, hey, I thought you were here. Maybe I was wrong. Giuseppe De Rosa, why the hell is there so many saviors? Or still so many saviors? Yeah, why is there still so many saviors? I know the saviors have like 200 people, right? Or 300 people even. So we might be seeing the end of the saviors in terms of the number of people they have. They might have like maybe 50 or 60 more men left, or soldiers left, or maybe even just 100. Giuseppe De Rosa, I think Simon is totally right when he said they gotta scrap the plates, kill everyone. I don't agree. I don't agree. I kind of agree with Negan on that, even though I don't agree with them having to kill the person initially to get everyone on board. I do agree with the point that people are a resource, that, even just not looking at the moral aspect of it, that people are a resource. You should not kill people because they could be helping you. They could be helping you expand and get bigger. So, yeah, I do agree with Negan on that end, even though I don't agree with him killing one person at the beginning and leaving aside the moral aspect of it. Giuseppe De Rosa, they lost a lot of saviors already. Yes, I do think that they did lose maybe half or even more than half of saviors right now. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A, hopefully the Whisperers will bring the ratings back. Hopefully. There is big potential, and I know I said there's a big potential with All Out War, but with the Whisperers, there is an even maybe bigger potential for them to do something different, not necessarily different from the comics, but different in a way that different than what they've been doing so far, making it feel different, making it feel unique. That would perhaps bring the ratings back up. Wiz07 Wiz or Wiz0W Wiz, do you think that Siddiq might save Negan in season 8 episode 16 after Rick cuts his throat? If he does, I don't know why Siddiq would do that. I don't know why he would do that, but sure, why not? Giuseppe De Rosa, Negan will probably find out Simon killed all the scavengers when he's in jail. I hope that comes before then. I hope that comes before. I want to see the interaction when Negan finds out. I want to see that interaction between Simon and Negan when Negan finds out. I want to see that. But at the same time, I don't want Negan to kill Simon. So however way they can potentially make that work out, that's what I'm a fan of. That's what I want them to do. Giuseppe De Rosa, if I was in Negan's position, I would agree with Simon. Yeah, I don't agree with you there. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A, do you think Tara will die this season? I hope so. Not that I hate the character, but she's getting a little annoying at this point. Giuseppe De Rosa, Siddiq will be a very important character in the future. Yeah, most likely. Given that they brought him back, or not back, but they brought him into the story and had to kill Carl for him, or for his story, he's gotta be a big character, right? He's gotta be an important character in the future. He's not really that important in the comics, but they might change that. Wiz0W Wiz, he's told Rick that he was a doctor in season 8 episode 9. Oh, I see what you mean. So he's gonna treat him. He's gonna treat Negan. Yeah, that's probably gonna happen if Dr. Carson is not there. Yeah, you're right about that. And that's actually very interesting. I don't know in the comics whether Siddiq is a doctor. I don't think he is. So it's very cool that they have Siddiq be a doctor so that there's a doctor at Alexandria. That's actually a very cool thing that they did. Giuseppe De Rosa, Terra isn't interesting no more. Yes, I agree. We are like 32 minutes in, and yeah, I think I might have to leave in a bit. I'll answer like 1 or 2 more questions. Giuseppe De Rosa, I really hope they don't have Henry take Carl's part from the comics. I don't like Henry. I hope they don't do that. Henry is not as big of a character, not even close, as Carl. So they can't do that. They just simply can't do that. They might give part of Carl's story to him, but he's not going to become Carl from the comics. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A, yeah, I agree. I think Tara should die. Her character doesn't really have its purpose anymore. Yeah, I kind of agree with that as well. So that's it for this Q&A live stream. Thank you for all of you that joined and participated. And sorry about the rant at the beginning, or not rant, about the review at the beginning. Because, yeah, I just didn't have time to do the review, so I just kind of put that in here. But that's basically it for this Q&A and this live stream. Thank you for all of those that participated and even just joined and watched the live stream. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time or next week for the next live stream.